Good morning, my dear students. Let's start our today's science class. We have already started our chapter number 2, that is microorganisms, friend and foe. In our previous video, we have learned about the different type of microorganisms and we have learned about bacteria, fungi and algae. So, in this video, we are going to proceed our next topics. So, let's start our today's science class. So, my dear student, let's start our today's science class. In our previous video, we have already started our chapter number 2, that is microorganisms, friend and foe. We had already completed bacteria, fungi and algae. Our next topic is protozoa. So students, our next topic is protozoa. Protozoa are the most primitive, means the oldest one, and they are animal-like microorganisms. They are generally found in moist places such as soil and also in aquatic habitats such as freshwater, lakes, stagnant ponds, pools, etc. So mostly they are unicellular and some of them are autotrophic while others are heterotrophic. So they are mostly unicellular and are of different shapes. Examples are amoeba is irregular in shape, euglena is spindle shaped and paramecium is slipper shaped. Protozoans means the first animal. Protozoa are unicellular microorganisms. They are included in a separate kingdom, Protista. They are found in ponds, lakes, rivers, sea and damp places. Euglena is an exception because it contains chlorophyll and can prepare its own food. So, some of the protozoa are parasites and cause disease like malaria caused by plasmodium. So, it means that malarial parasite is carried by plasmodium and dysentery is caused by ant amoeba in humans. So, let's talk about viruses. Viruses are the smallest microorganism that cannot be seen with the most powerful microscope. They can only be studied under an electron microscope. They grow and multiply only inside living cells of plants and animals or even bacteria, but remain inactive outside the host cells. Okay. So, the word virus means poisonous liquid and they are also known as the borderline of living and non-living thing because viruses they can survive only inside the living cells of plants or animals. If they are not inside the living cells, they are always inactive. They ranges from 20 to 30 micron meter. They can only be studied under an electron microscope. Viruses cannot grow and reproduce on their own. However, when they enter a living cell, they use the host machinery to reproduce because they do not have their own metabolism. So that's why they use the host machinery to reproduce. Viruses are considered as a connecting link between living thing and non-living things. So that's why they are said to lie on the borderline of dividing the living beings from the non-living things. They are of different shapes. Viruses are harmful to human, animals and plants. They cause many diseases in them, common cold, flu, measles, polio, chicken pox and AIDS. So about AIDS, you know that it is one of the deadly disease, acquired immune deficiency syndrome. So these are some of the disease which is caused by viruses in humans. So our next topic is where do microorganisms live? Microorganisms are present everywhere. Some live alone while others grow in group called colonies. So some microorganisms like amoeba can live alone while fungi and bacteria may live in colonies. They are found in every kind of environment. They are found in air, soil, and in water bodies like sea, lakes and ponds. They are also found in dead and decaying organisms and even inside our bodies. They can exist in extreme condition of temperature like drought, in a hot water spring, in desert, in polar region and marshy lands. That's why microorganisms, they are called extremophiles, because they have ability to survive in extreme condition, like in extreme conditions. They survive in extreme environment condition by forming a hard outer covering called cyst. Okay, so cyst is the hard outer covering which protect microorganism even in extreme condition also. That's why they can capable to survive in extreme. So now our next topic is microorganisms and us. Microorganisms play an important role in our lives. Some of them are beneficial in many ways, while others are harmful and cause a number of infectious diseases. So let's first talk about the friendly microorganism. So microorganisms are beneficial to us in many ways because they are involved in making of food items, they are involved in commercial use, in medicinal use and so many other important uses, like they are helpful in cleaning our environment. They increase in fertility of soil by fixing atmospheric nitrogen, and in biotechnology, biochemistry, genetics and molecular biology. So let's read about the useful microorganisms. So now let's talk about useful microorganisms. Microorganisms are useful to us in following ways. First, making of food items. Bacteria help us in making certain food items like curd, cheese, bread and pastries. So let's talk about making of curd. We all love to eat curd, but have you ever thought of how it is made? The answer is microorganisms. The bacterium called lactobacillus reproduces in milk and convert the sugar lactose found in milk to acetic acid, thus forming the curd. Processing of many other food items like cheese, pickles, wines, etc. make use of microorganisms. So, a natural sugar that is called lactose, it is present in milk. So, when a sample of curd is added to the milk, what happens? Lactobacillus bacteria start multiplying, and that milk is converted into curd by the action of the lactobacillus bacteria, because lactobacillus bacteria, it convert sugar into acid. Which acid? Into lactic acid, and due to that formation of curd take place. Lactobacillus bacteria help make curd from milk. Curd is formed when a protein called casein present in milk clumps together to form a solidified mass. So, casein, it is a milk protein. So, when bacteria convert sugar into lactic acid, then the milk protein that is called casein present in milk, it clumps together to form a solidified mass. Cheese and paneer are also made by the action of bacteria, lactobacillus and streptococcus on milk. Bacteria act upon the tough meat and make it soft. This process is called tenderization of meat. So, what is tenderization of meat? When bacteria act upon tough meat and make it soft. So, this process is called tenderization of meat, and this is also done by the action of bacteria. So, now let's talk about making of bread. Yeast cells are used in the baking industry for making breads, pastries and cakes. For baking bread, Yeast along with a little sugar is mixed with flour to make dough. The dough is kept in a warm place. The yeast uses sugar present in the dough as food. During the breakdown of sugar, carbon dioxide and alcohol are formed. This process is called fermentation. So, what is fermentation? Fermentation is a process when yeast break down the sugar and carbon dioxide and alcohol is formed. So, this process is called fermentation. The dough rises due to carbon dioxide. When this dough is used to make bread and is baked, carbon dioxide escapes from the loaf, making it light and fluffy. So, now it is clear to you that why bread is very light and fluffy, because yeast break down sugar molecule to produce carbon dioxide gas, which increase the volume of dough. Yeast is also used in day-to-day household food items like idli, dhokla and dosa too. For making idli and dosa, the mixture of ground rice and dal is first allowed to stand for a few hours. This mixture rises and becomes sour due to the growth of yeast cells. Commercial use of microorganisms. So, commercial use. Yeast is used for commercial production of alcohol, beer, wine and acetic acid. For this purpose, yeast is grown on natural sugars present in grains like barley, wheat, rice and fruit juices. The process of conversion of sugar into alcohol by the action of microbes like yeast is called fermentation. Louis Pasteur discovered the process of fermentation in 1857. So, this is the commercial use of microorganisms. Now, some bacteria are used in the production of tea, coffee and tobacco. Some bacteria take part in the production of certain acids like lactic acid, citric acid and acetic acid, that is also known as vinegar. One more important use, that is some algae like chlorella and seaweeds are used as a food. They are a rich source of protein and meat. So now let's talk about medicinal use of microorganism. Some of the medicinal uses of microorganisms are as follows. So let's talk about whenever we fall ill, the doctor gives us some antibiotic tablets, capsules or injections. What are antibiotics? How are they produced? The medicine, now listen carefully student. The medicines produced by living organisms such as bacteria and fungi, which kill or stop the growth of disease causing microorganisms present in our body, are called antibiotics. The source of these antibiotic medicines are microorganisms. These days, a number of antibiotics are produced from bacteria and fungi. Streptomycin, tetracycline, erythromycin are some of the commonly known antibiotics which are made from fungi and bacteria. The first antibiotic to be discovered was penicillin. It was prepared by a fungus called Penicillium notatum. Antibiotics are also mixed with the feed of livestock and poultry to check microbial infection in animals. Antibiotics are also used to control many plants' disease. So, in 1929, Sir Alexander Fleming was working on a culture of disease causing streptococci bacteria in his laboratory. Suddenly he found the spores of a little green mold, that is fungi called Penicillium notatum in one of his culture plates. He observed that the presence of green mold not only prevented the growth of bacteria but also killed many of these disease-causing bacteria. From this mold, penicillin drug was prepared. In this way, Sir Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin drug, which is an effective antibiotic. So really it is one of the great use of microorganisms. So once again I want to remind you that what is antibiotics? The medicines produced by living organisms such as bacteria and fungi, which kills or stops the growth of disease causing microorganisms present in our body, are called antibiotics. Now, precautions to be taken while using antibiotics. Antibiotics should be taken only on the advice of a qualified doctor. Antibiotics should be taken in a prescribed dose and prescribed duration only. Their overdose may be proved harmful and their underdose would not produce the required result. So that's all for today's class. Next topics we will discuss in our next video. Till that, use mask, use sanitizer, stay healthy, stay home and maintain social distancing. My dear student, please complete the notes of lesson 2. Thanks for watching this video.